Hello everybody and welcome to this month's webinar. It is Women's Month and we are from our studios here at Crawford International, and we are very proud and honored to have Dr. Siza Majola with us this month. And Dr. Siza is the Managing Director of Crawford International, the school group, but she's also a mum, she's a powerful woman, she's busy, and I am just so excited to have her here on set with me. So welcome, Siza.
Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Bach. It's really great to be here, especially on Women's Month.
Yeah.
So it's great.
And Siza, you know, I'm so honored because we started the series for the parents at Crawford International, just to have real conversation, to tap into the space of chatting to them, making sure that they are not alone, but also just for them to actually tune into these webinars and find comfort in the fact that other people might be sharing the same thoughts, or they're sharing the same anxiety, or they're sharing the same kind of celebrations. So thank you for the initiative that you're also putting out to our parents out there.
It's only a pleasure. We always want to partner with our parent, because parenting is not an easy thing. You know, I'm a mom myself, as you have just said, and we looked into how we could try and make the journey a little bit easier for parents, not just for moms, you know, for dads, for parents who are guardians. The task itself is not an easy one, and hopefully these webinars have really been impactful in assisting the parents to be able to walk that journey and know that somebody is sharing the load with them.
Yeah.
Their children are our children,
Yeah.
ultimately.
And that's very powerful. And Siza, I want to go straight into the Women's Month. You know, it's a month that's very important, and I know that you are a powerful woman yourself. You're very successful in your space as well, but you're also a mum, you're a sister, you know, you're a friend. And I want to chat to you about your views on how powerful women can really be. So I want to start off by asking you, are women really the pillars of strength? Are they really holding the society together? What's your view on that?
I believe that women are very important in our society. I think when you look at various movements that have taken place over, you know, centuries, one that has really catapulted the world into the next phase is the one around women and women empowerment. And I say that cautiously, because on the one hand, you also don't want the weight of the world to be resting on women's shoulders, because they carry so much already. We have to bear children, or we have to adopt children, you know, all those things that we do in order to ensure that we raise young ones are already so heavy on our shoulders. There's a phrase that I like which says, heavy is the head that bears the crown. You know, as women, we bear the crown, and so heavy hangs our head because we bear the crown. So we are an important pillar in society, but I'm hoping that in future, all those responsibilities and some of that pressure can be shared evenly with the other gender, so that the load can become a little bit heavier. So for myself as a mom, you know, it has been such an exciting journey. I'm also a Crawford parent, by the way, Wilfred. Which has been an incredible experience, because I get to experience the brand from a different direction.
Yeah, as a parent.
Because when I go to my school where my little one is at, you know, I go in as a parent and I'm treated like a parent.
Yes.
And it's been amazing then to experience, you know, and see the shift that Crawford is making around putting at the center of everything the child at the center. So that's been really amazing. But coming back to your question, I believe that women have got the resilience and they've got the calmness and the patience that is sometimes required, especially when situations are as bleak as we currently see with the COVID-19 pandemic. But I also, as I said earlier, believe that women should be supported, because heavy hangs their head, because the crown is very heavy.
There's a crown there. Yeah. In terms of, you know, you juggling so many things, Siza, you know, your portfolio is huge. It's you know, very, very big. So how do you juggle it? How do you tackle your day? I know that there's young girls looking here, they're looking for role models, and maybe successful women as well, women that aspire to be successful. How do you do it?
So one of the things that I've made peace with is that it's very hard for me, Siza, to find balance. So every morning when I wake up, I give myself a chance to try again. So, which means I take one day at a time, and I almost live my life in a way that says, today might be the last one. So let me do the best and show up the best way that I can just for today. And when I've done that and I go to bed at night, I'm satisfied when I've given my best just for that one day. I obviously have got children as well, so you know, some of my emotions have to be directed in caring for the children, in caring for my partner, caring for my sister, and caring for my brothers and my mother. So I try and apportion that accordingly when I can, but there's some days where I don't even phone my mom, you know, because there's just not enough in that tank. And also from a capacity point of view for me to make that phone call. I've also been very blessed that I am generally somebody that's very open to support. So again, you know, there's parents who are able to afford additional support. So in those instances, then I also make sure that for myself, when I can get support and get people to come and help me,
you would get
I do. So I never say no. I never say no. If you want to come and babysit, I just never say no. As long as it's somebody that I trust, I just never say no. So I take advantage of that. I also believe that, particularly these days, we know that mental wellness is a big issue. You know, if you look at Naomi Osaka, how much she is selfish about her own wellness and keeping this and this, you know, very secure and safe and in a healthy space. I'm generally very much the same. You know, my mental well-being absolutely matters, because the kind of work that we do is, you know, Dr. Polk, it's work of the heart. So when you are not okay here, when you're not okay here and here, you basically can't give anything. So I then, you know, generally my morning starts with a workout, even if it's just for 30 minutes, where I try and think, you know, I pray or I speak to the universe, clear my head. So every morning I try and make time to work out when I can, and then I say these affirmations, and the affirmations evolve depending on what I'm going through. So sometimes, you know, it's about work-related stuff. You know, you can do it. There's gonna be a hard meeting. You can do it. You can handle this, etc. And some days it's really about, you know, Siza, you need to rest. You know, you can rest, you will put down that computer and you will focus on yourself. So the affirmations, again, as I said, you know, they depend on where I am. Then in the evenings, I generally take time to reflect, because it's when we know as well where we are short. You know, so when you know where you are short, then it means the following morning, you can go fill up your tank in that particular area.
I love how you approach it also, that you handle it one day at a time, because I think so many times people are so overloaded and they actually like stressing themselves out so much. And I think in a school context, because we're in education in this space, you know, young children or adolescents or even teenagers or young adults, they would put so much on their plates. But if they maybe consider handling it one day at a time, I think it might be a cool approach. I love the affirmations. I think I can relate to that as well, because sometimes, you know, you need to say to yourself, I am gonna do it. You know, I can handle this. I think it's also important, and I think, again, you know, you juggling so many things, I think it's also cool to be realistic.
Absolutely, Wilfred. And I mean, I just want to go back to the thing about affirmations, because, you know, if you look at the demographic of our parents, you know, it's people who are either running their homes, they are executive, you know, in their own homes, or they're executives in corporate world, or they're running their own businesses. And one of the things that I've learned, having ascended to management level and executive level, is that you don't always get feedback. So it's important to be somebody who can sit back and say, based on everything that I did today, what score would I give myself? You know, what could I have done better? What could I have done differently? Because not everyone will give you feedback. Sometimes when you get feedback, it might not be honest as well, because maybe if you are the leader for that particular function, then people might be not feel comfortable in giving you negative feedback.
Yes, yeah.
So with the affirmations, I've found I'm able first to give myself, when I reflect, negative feedback where it's just, Siza, you could have done better in that meeting. The way you addressed that person or the way you spoke over them, you just could have handled it better. But there's also times when I've had to learn to say, Siza, you actually did well.
Yes,
you remember how nervous you were before that meeting. You remember how nervous you were to facilitate that conversation. You actually did well. So it's not always what's coming from the outside, because it doesn't matter how much people can give you the feedback. Ultimately, it's about what you believe as a person. So I've got to believe that there's things that I'm good at, and I've got to give myself those messages. But I also have to believe that there's things that I can do better on. And guess what? The first feedback needs to come from myself. By the time people tell me, at least I know.
And it's very powerful, and as you're speaking, I'm just thinking like you're bringing it back to yourself. So you being in control, you being reflective as well, and you actually making the decision of whether you had a good day or whether you had a day that can be improved. And that's quite powerful. And I think, as you mentioned, especially for our parents and the people that's listening, sometimes it's good for them to also take time out just to reflect and give credit to where they do things well, but also to look at things that they can improve possibly. And I think it's powerful. Siza, in terms of you looking at the women in the Crawford group, first of all, there's so many. There's teachers, there's our support staff, there's the principals, there's so many women in the group, as well as our students. It's a huge female sort of population, student population. If you have to talk to them and speak to them in terms of how powerful they can actually be and how they can contribute to the Crawford group and to the larger society, what would be the kind of lessons that you would share with them?
Sure. So maybe just the first part to your statement, Wilfred, I would like to just highlight that, because it's so important that we've got lots of women in Crawford. So this is a place where women are given a voice.
Wow.
We've got, in our principal layer, we've got about 20 principals and heads and executive heads. And 62% of those individuals who are the top leadership are actually women. So 62%, wow. So think about
That's
that.
Powerful.
Then in the teaching and support staff and our general staff, 85% is women.
Wow.
And then we also have another layer of individuals that are leading the Crawford brand. So as you rightfully said, I'm the managing director. We've got Catherine, who looks after finance. She's a woman. We've got Marika, who looks after sales and marketing. She's a woman. We've got Tracy, who looks after academics. She's a woman. And should I continue? We've got Charlene, who looks after HR, and she's a woman. So 5 very strong, capable individuals who are part of changing and working alongside our principals and our executive heads in driving that what we deliver to the children every single day is done to the best of our ability with that touch of excellence every single time. So you can see how much of women influence is there in Crawford. We do want in future, obviously, to have more diversity in terms of gender, because I believe that, a healthy society is quite representative, but this is where we are today. But Charlene is working on with us to ensure that, as we replace, we at least start to balance the genders and that there's representation. So what I would say regarding, the women that are in Crawford is that more than anything, what we stand for as a brand, we always say we're a school of choice and voice, or we're a school of voice and choice. So the best way for us to demonstrate empowering women is by giving them voice and by giving them choice. If I, as the managing director, cannot listen to the things that women in our group raise, then I've shut down that voice. Then I'm not living true to the values of what Crawford stands for. So voice and choice is what we give. Voice and choice is what we know best. And my style of leadership and working with the women in our group is that we listen to them. They've got a voice, they can voice their opinions, and we give them the choice.
Yeah, and I think that's very powerful because again it comes back to those values. And I know particularly on at this campus, the students, it filters through to the students, and the students express so well. They are confident in what they say, and they make good choices. And we sometimes navigate the way, but they are ultimately responsible for those choices. And I think they're making very good choices as a whole as well. And I think that again, the way you explain it, it just filters down. From you as the MD straight through to your team, and so it filters down to the heads, and then it goes down to the students as well. And I think to a degree to our parent community as well. I know recently we've been running a survey that was designed by the brand office to hear from the parents as well. Yes. And again, giving them that choice and that connection back to them, because we are ultimately very open to navigate the path together with the community.
Absolutely, Wilfred, and I think the part about also giving the parents, voice is important for us, because ultimately we're not here to serve ourselves. I said earlier that their children are our children. When you drop off your child at Crawford, that is my child for those 9, 8 to 10 hours that the child is with us. The child is mine. So it's important that we hear those voices and understand what is it that we can do better, what is it that we are doing correctly, and what is it that we can do in order to transition to the next level, because the kind of education we want to give the children is one that helps them to thrive in a global society. So we give them futuristic skills. We want them to have skills that are relevant locally but also globally. So give them an education that matters, an education that has significance and makes an impact in their lives and also to those that are around them. Last year when I went around our different schools, we asked at some point if I could do sessions with parents. So we asked the principals to organize just a small group of parents for me to understand what is it that they were looking for. And I found those sessions very empowering, because the parents were able to stand up and tell us what we're not doing right. And that has then fed into some of the changes that the parents are experiencing, Crawford going through since last year and also this year. And we can only be better. The world is waiting for us, and we just climbing higher and higher every single day.
It's very powerful. Siza, in terms of role models, girls are looking for role models. Women out there listening to you today are looking for role models. Do you have a role model, or did you have one? Who do you look up to?
Awesome. So yes, I believe in having a role model. I believe in having people that you lean on, people that you look up to, people that you aspire, to. So I've got a few, and depending again on where I'm at in my life. But the one constant one that I would just like to share, whose teachings have really been impactful in my life is Dr. T.D. Jakes. He's a phenomenal leader. He's a speaker, motivational speaker. So I listen a lot to some of his teachings, and I always am able to then reflect and see how do I adapt it then for myself, because again, I'm Siza. So I need to be able to bring it back and say, so in my world, how do I want to, reshape this thing and then apply it? I also love Jim Rohn. I don't know, I think some people might not know Jim Rohn, but I love Jim Rohn. I was introduced to Jim Rohn by a friend of mine, Nogwanda, and I've really found that, he speaks the truth. He speaks to you, he speaks the truth. So absolutely love him. Then there's women currently who are in my life that I look up to, I lean on. I've got friends, that I lean on. A friend of mine was just at home on Sunday, and we were basically just unpacking how this life has been this year. What do we need to do in order to change as we go into the next year? So women like that. She's also a leader in the corporate world. So we are able to then have those conversations. So the key thing, Wilfred, maybe the takeaway in this particular question is, it's got to work for you. So it all starts from understanding who you are. And then you are able to find those people who can speak to you at a particular time. And it doesn't have to be one person. I think it could be a group of people but at different times that you speak to, depending on what you would like to address it.
Yeah, and I like that as well, that you speak about, you're looking up to these people, and even that's the way how I approach it, but then I make it specific to me, and you speak to, like, how is this going to benefit Siza, and how can I adapt this? And I like that as well. And again, it speaks to the fact that sometimes we look up to somebody and we want to be that person, but we actually forget ourselves. And the message that came through for me when you were just chatting now is the fact that we need to also be cognizant of ourselves, who we are, what we really want to achieve. And the unpacking is really great. I mean, chatting to a friend or somebody like that. In terms of our girls at Crawford, they're confident young girls. Some of them are going to branch out to universities to represent the Crawford name. They're going to let the flag fly high. What do you want to say to them in terms of leading by example, going forward and be that voice and choice, but do it responsibly?
Absolutely. So, Wilfred, we can never predict how life is going to turn out, but we can always be in control of how we respond to situations that happen in our lives,
That's powerful.
So first is to say to the girls, you always aim for the best, but also be prepared that if any eventuality comes through at any given point, you take a step back, you reflect, you remap your moves, and then you keep going, right? Because the goal remains the goal. It doesn't matter what obstacles come in your way.
Or the path you take, it might be longer.
Absolutely, it might be a longer route,
that,
but the goal remains the goal, and that's where the goal is. But you just try and navigate yourself around situations and things that happen. And to also say, what I've found for me personally, and again, it could be different for other women and could be different for some of the girls that are listening to this, is that all the answers that I need, generally, and all the tools that I need in my journey as Siza, they're already here. I've got them.
Yeah.
It's now about which one do I pull out at what point.
It's almost like reactivating.
Yes, so which one do I need to activate now?
Wow.
Absolutely, So it's a matter of understanding, what do I need to activate now? But there's nothing that you need externally. All of us that are external, we're just there to harness what's already inside of you. So the power lies within, the answers lies within, the tools lie within. But you just need to be in tune about where am I, which season am I in? Then this now, I need to reactivate this one.
Yeah.
And then I put it back. What season am I in? I readjust, and then I reactivate. So that's what I would say to the girls. There's no script, but I believe as long as they remember that all the tools and all the answers
they already have.
Oh,
well, that's powerful.
In fact, sorry, I'm getting excited now. In fact, one of the things that I believe in, there's a phrase that I once read on the internet. I can't remember who the author is, but it went something, and I'm going to paraphrase it. It went something like, we can all dream and wish, but we can only wish what we must. So your wish, Wilfred, can never be my wish. My wish can never be Reynard's wish. My wish can never be Nondogozo's wish. I will only wish what I must. But that says to me, it's because it's been given to me anyway.
It's already there.
It's already there.
Yeah.
So I just need to activate it.
Sure, that's very powerful. And I think even any Crawford girl or any Crawford woman, that's part of our group and the extended Johannesburg and South Africa or overseas, I think they can be empowered with what you've said because it's already there. And I think, it's another way of looking at it. And I think it's quite a powerful way to just know that it's there and reactivating it. And actually just take what's yours. That's what we always say.
Absolutely.
It is always there. You just take what's yours. Siza, we're almost out of time, but I wanna speak to you about self-pride, because when I listen to you, you are the managing director, but you're also a sister, as I mentioned earlier. You're a friend, you're a mum, you're a mentor to so many people. And I wanna just pause for a minute, and I wanna ask you, are you proud of yourself? Are you proud of what you have achieved thus far? Jay Shetty always encourages me because he speaks about, if you're not proud of yourself, then don't expect the world to be proud of your achievements, because it starts with you. You must actually say, I'm rocking, I'm doing this thing with whatever I can, and I'm rocking it. So I want to ask you, are you proud of how far you've come, what you've achieved so far?
Yeah, in fact, as you were speaking, I vividly saw an 8-year-old Siza, you know, skinny, very unsure of what was happening in the world, and, you know, never could have. In fact, as you are speaking to me, I'm going back to the 8-year-old Siza. You know, I was at boarding school from the age of 8. I always say I left home at the age of 7 when I went to boarding school. And when I go back to that picture and look at where I am right now, you know, I would say I am proud of myself. I'm also proud of the fact that not only have I been able to grow as a person, but I've been able to grow the voice that's inside of me. And find courage in situations and circumstances that are very difficult. You know, as a black woman, you know, we all know that the struggles of a black woman are real, and there are many. I mean, I studied in the UK. I was the only black female in my class. You know, I was at boarding school from the age of 7. So it has not been easy. But when I look at the journey in totality, I feel that everything that has happened along the way has been conspiring to get me to this point.
Almost like crafting it.
Absolutely, and therefore, it's been worth it. It's certainly been worth it. Every single day also being, you know, the managing director of Crawford, such a big brand, to be reckoned, prestigious brand, it's been worth it.
It's very powerful, and it's also, I think, encouraging to hear, because again, we started off, but you're doing so much, you know, you're juggling so many balls, you're trying to find balance, and sometimes you do, sometimes you take opportunities to reflect, and it's very encouraging to hear as well that, you know, you feel that it's worth it. You actually can pull out from the experiences, and it's supporting your journey as well, and it helps, you know, like you said, it's already there. It helps you just crafting, you know, the finer bits to this wonderful Siza and this amazing product, you know, and I think that's very powerful. Siza, we are completely out of time.
Oh no.
We can chat for hours, you know. It's very inspirational for me, for the listeners out there. You know, I'm in the studio here with Dr. Siza Majola, and before I end, Siza, I'm going to ask you to do one more closing message for the people out there, everybody listening today. Just a cool shout out or any message of encouragement, because it's unprecedented times, like we always say. People are experiencing so much at the moment, but just give them a little of a pick-me-up message today.
Thank you so much, Wilfred, and thank you for having me here today. It really has been great. And just to say to everyone that's going to be listening to this message, let's just keep the love going, because we all go through such difficult situations with the pandemic. We've never been here before. But ultimately, we only have one life to live, and let's make sure that we love as much as we can those that are around us, those that come in close contact to us, and let's just give love freely, because life is too short.
Well, that's awesome. Well, there you have it, everybody, from Dr. Siza Majola, my guest today on a webinar here at Crawford International, and that is our connection to our parents and the wider community in South Africa, but also the wider community internationally. And I want to remind you again, it doesn't cost us anything to be kind to one another. Kindness is absolutely free, so you go and spread some kindness. And as Siza said, continue the love. Bye, everybody.
Bye.